Well, happy evening, pre-calc students. It is March 24th, and if you got your text, you have already written down this problem and changed it into an augmented matrix. So if you have done that, kaboom, you are ready to go. All right, if you haven't done that yet, I want you to pause and get that done before you even press play. All right, so our goal is to take this augmented matrix right here and put it into row echelon form. All right, so when we do row echelon form, of course, our very first goal is to get this first space here to be a +1. Okay, so we want to get that situation right there, where that top line there is a +1. And then I just want to keep the whole rest of that matrix the same. So right here and right here, I'm going to keep, but the question is, what could I do to get a 1 there? And it looks to me like if I were to take this row here and multiply it by a -2 and add it to here, that I would get a +1. So that's our row operation right there. -2 times row 3 plus row 1, and I want you to pause and don't press play until you've got those numbers written down. All right, so if you have pressed play, it is because you have our next set of numbers here that is 1, 0, -1, 0. All right, so then our next goal is to get this value right here to be a 0. And what we want to do is we want to think about what we would have to do to get that to be a 0 there. We're going to keep the top row, make that a 0, keep the bottom row exactly the way it is, and what would I need to do to get that situation? Well, it looks to me like if I took -4 times that and added it to that, I would get a 0 there. So I think I want to do -4 times row 1 plus row 2. And again, I want you to pause, don't press play until you've done that operation. All right, so if you've pressed play, it's because you've got these values here and you are ready to go. All right, so our next goal is to get this term here to be a 0. And I have to think about what would I need to do to get a 0 there. What do I need to do to get that to transform from a -3 to a 0? It looks like if I did 3 times that row, added to that row, I would indeed get a 0 there. So I'm going to keep the first 2 rows, and then I'm going to do the row operations of 3 times row 1 added to row 3. And again, I want you to pause and do that work. If you have hit play, it is because you are ready to go on. -1, -2, +1. All right, so then our next goal should be to get this to be a +1. And I think I can do that by just taking that whole row and multiplying it by a -1. Okay, so now I've transformed that row into this guy here. All I did was multiply the whole equation by a -1. All right, and now my final goal is to get this value here to be a 0. And I think I can do that by doing row 2 plus row 3. Okay, so again, I want you to pause and do that. And if you have hit play, it is because you know that when you add this and this, you get a 0, and add this and this, you get a 0, and add this and this, and I get a -1. And right now, I'm going to look right there because, kaboom, we just broke math. Oh my gosh, why on earth is that a problem? What just happened? Why did I blow it up? Kaboom. Well, let's think about what this here means. This means 0x plus 0y plus 0z is equal to negative 1. Well, this is all just a bunch of zeros. So 0 equals negative 1. What? Ba-boom! We can't have that happening. You hear that? The sirens are even coming. We've got a problem here. All right, so we've seen this kind of a situation before in Algebra 1 when you get something that does not work. What's the answer? Well, we know this means there is no solution. Now, my question is, what does this mean in terms of graphing? So if we were to go back and think about the original problem was this 3-variable, 3-equation system. That's a plane in space. That's a plane in space. That's a plane in space. Do they share a single point that works for all three of them? No. So what I'd like you to do just to finish this problem up, this is the only thing I want you to do. Plug these three guys into GeoGebra in the 3D plotter and kind of turn it around, zoom in, zoom out, spin it. What does that look like, and why are there no solutions? Kaboom!